Hey everyone, it's Kerilie McDowall coming from the wild west of the Great White North, and it's midnight. I often like to shoot film at midnight when the light in my room is the worst. As you can see that the lighting isn't correct if you're into film. However, I was just really inspired to sit down and start a nice little video because I had promised someone in the Facebook group that I run as an admin called How to Play Guitar for Beginners and Guitarists that I would make an intro to jazz guitar quick little video for my followers on Facebook. So just kind of adjusting this light a bit. Anyway, it's really nice to be with you here today, and the lighting isn't right. Like if you're in film, I just want to tell you something. You know, the lighting is completely wrong because when you're shooting film, you want the light to show on the face completely. And as you can see, there's shadows on my face and all of that. It's like a real faux pas in film, in filming. So this is not about film today. This is just about really getting out the guitar lesson to you. So, and also, you know, just so you know, like the best circumstances for filming, if you're into film or you're going to start a YouTube channel or something like that, is to film during the day, you know, when it's bright enough out to get a proper ambiance in the room and proper lighting, right? And so my window is over there, so even if I had that, you know, with light coming through with the curtains open and everything, it still probably wouldn't be right because the light's coming from the side. You really want most of the light coming from the front, right? As that's part of the reason why we see a lot of those phone lights, the ring lights behind the phone, right? And then when you want the lighting, just for people that may be thinking of starting a YouTube channel, maybe some of you are a bit more advanced in guitar and you want to start your own channel. So just knowing how to get that lighting right. So make sure there's no shadows on your face. So like you just have to forgive me for this today. So okay, so we're here in the wild west of the Great White North of Canada, and I'm Kerilie McDowall. Now you may not know much about me. I'm a music graduate. You know, I was a jazz guitarist, band leader in Vancouver. One of the pioneers of for female anyway in Canada for jazz guitar band leaders. I was very active in Vancouver from 1990 to 2000 was when I was living in Vancouver. And more recently, I've gotten back to my roots in playing guitar and composing again. So I just actually finished off about 9 compositions in the summer, and I was really enjoying that. 9 jazz sextet pieces for, you know, piano, trumpet, saxophone, bass and drums and guitar, and I was pretty excited about that. I'm still writing and I'm getting parts together and all of that. And I also did some arrangements of some of my past compositions, so it was a lot of fun. I had a real good time doing it. It was just so much fun. And so I encourage you, you know, if you're into songwriting, keep it up, you know, don't leave it. Keep it up, get inspired. Even if you're not inspired, force yourself to write a little bit. Sometimes just by forcing you into that mindset and that headspace, you'll before you know it, you'll be writing or you know, you'll be working on something else and maybe it'll inspire you to write. So, and then when you're composing, you may get other ideas. Like, for example, if you're a business owner, you may get business ideas, or, you know, if you're a writer, you may get writing ideas. Like if you're a real creative that handles all kinds of different aspects within your diversity of the creative world. Okay, so anyway, I'm really happy to be here. I've been away from the guitar for a while. You've probably noticed. So I'm really happy to be here. So what I'm going to show you is just some basic, really basic jazz chords today. Really basic, like very simple. And what I thought I would do would be a jazz blues, okay? So the jazz blues is different from a regular rock blues. You know, we're used to hearing, you know, someone like maybe Stevie Ray Vaughan or B.B. King or, you know, all the great blues guitarists that there were, you know, blues-inspired guitarists like Eric Clapton, etc. You know, there's just been so many wonderful guitarists that have had blues at the root and the core of who they are. Really great female blues guitarists as well. So, you know, just such a wonderful genre. I love the blues guitar. It's actually was one of the first improvisation approaches that I used coming up as a young teenager. I was really lucky to be mentored by Buzz Upshaw. He was this massive man that played, you know, Caledonia, the Chicago blues, like you've never heard. Like you just never heard anything like that. He would play it really, really super fast, and just with the happiest, joyous, most joyous, beautiful sound. And he just had the most incredible swing to him. He made that guitar sing. So, okay, what we're going to talk about today is a bit of jazz and a bit of blues combined, because I thought, that way I could sort of make everyone happy here. So a little bit of rock, a little bit of jazz combined. Okay, so we're gonna, what key should we do it in? Let me think here. I think, let me just think about this for a moment. I'm going to do it in A, because I think that'll be easier for maybe beginners, just because of where it is on the neck. It's easier to grab. So you're going to want to climb up to the 5th fret. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you see that? Do you see where that second dot there is on the fretboard? That's your 5th fret, okay? So when I say on the fret, I don't mean literally on the fret. Remember, I mean behind the fret, okay? It's just terminology. So we say on, but we mean just behind the fret, okay? So what I want you to do is slide up there, okay? So I want you to get your hands in that area, okay? Good job, okay? I know you're doing this so far. And don't get nervous. It's going to be fun. So what I want you to do is, okay, here's your thumb, here's your first finger, your second finger, your third finger, and your fourth finger. Okay, so remember, thumb, we don't call that a number. It's just thumb. It's because it's usually behind the neck, right? But here's your first finger, your second finger, and your third and your fourth, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to take your second finger, this one here, and you want to put it on, well, just behind the 5th fret, okay? On your low E string. And when I say low, I mean the lowest sounding string, the thickest string. This one right here, and it's an A note, okay? Just trust me, it's an A. You just have to go with that. It's kind of like mathematics. You just have to trust. So that's an A, okay? All right. So now what you're going to do, see your first finger is kind of just dying to do something here. So you're going to put that first finger on the 4th fret, okay? Not on, remember, just behind. So this is what it's going to sound like. Do, mi, do, right? Okay, you got it? So A and C sharp. Don't worry about the sharp thing yet. That'll come as you learn more theory, but just trust me, it's C sharp. Okay, I just want to tell you the notes, okay? So now what you're going to do, see that third finger is kind of itching to go somewhere. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that on the 4th string, okay? And it's going to be this note here. Right? So do, do, mi, te, right? So that's the flat 7, okay? So this is do, the root or the tonic of the chord. Here's mi, the major third of the chord. And then here's the 7th. We're referring to numeric intervals here, which you'll learn about later too. Te, do, mi, te. Kind of fun, right? Now you could just play that. I just want to show you what you could do with that. You just play those 3 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. You hear how I'm playing on the end there? Just watch this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. So that's called a Charleston rhythm, and it's used commonly in the blues, like real rock blues. Remember, blues was before jazz. Like, we like to say everything's jazz when we're into jazz, but the blues came first. So that Charleston rhythm was going back that far, but it also became sort of like a very core part of jazz. Okay, so we've only playing those 3 notes for now. Now you could just do that. You know, if you're a beginner, a complete beginner, you may just want to practice that for now. Maybe a little hard to go a little further. Don't worry about it though. We're going to try and go a little further. So now what I'm going to get you to do is put your baby finger, this pinky, on the string right next to it, again on the 5th fret. So watch this. Right? Now what I want you to do is slide it up. Right? Right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. So I slid down that time. Did you notice? It's just, you can mess around with that, like just going down a fret and up a fret. You can, let's mess around with that for a moment. So it's kind of hip. Like, don't you think that's hip? I think it's hip. I love these types of chords. So, and the reason I'm partly doing this is for someone that was called, let me just get the name up here. Actually, I don't have his name up here, but he was someone that was playing R&B jazzy chords. And he had a beautiful, nice semi-hollow guitar, nice jazz guitar, and he was just starting back after playing like he hadn't played for a while, it looked like. And he's been playing the guitar for quite some time, but he has never really managed to get past that beginner stage because, you know, life got in the way. And that's what I would guess had happened. So I wanted to show him some new chords that he could work on if he doesn't know them yet, and pass it along to you as well. So, okay, so we've got our, I'm going to tell you, okay, so take your hand off the guitar. Now, can you remember what that chord was? Like, can you remember, did your finger memory get imprinted on it enough that you can go back to the guitar and just grab it? Yeah, just take it away, grab it. Right, that's what you want to be able to do, is grab a grip. It's called a grip, okay? So, okay, you may not be able to do that yet, because usually when you're a beginner, what you kind of do is go, like you put them all down at separate times because it's just hard, right? And it is. When you're getting used to a chord, you have to expect that there's some unfamiliarity to get into it. You're going to have to do quite a bit of repetition is good, right? And then you will start to feel more familiar. And then the next thing you know, you'll be grabbing a grip like that. You won't even have to look at your hand, right? So watch this. I love that. Don't you love that? So it's A, C sharp, G natural. So what note is that? Do you know what that note that is? Do you happen to know? So A, C sharp, right? G, and then that's a C. So it's actually, okay, I don't want to confuse you too much. You know, it may seem a little confusing to you. It may, if I say this to you. But it's basically an A7, okay? Because it's got the A and the C sharp and the G, that part there. But because of that C natural on top, this note, right? Right, all those C's there. It's actually what we would call a sharp 9. So it's an A7 sharp 9 chord. And you're going to go, well, whoa, what does that mean? That's just beyond me. Well, don't worry about it. It's just what it's called. Don't panic. But I want to show you an example. I'm just going to digress for a bit here. And this is probably going to be a fairly long video. But anyway, I wanted to show you the context of what a 7 sharp 9 chord sounds like in a very, very famous song. Okay, so just watch this one. Now, I haven't played this for years. I used to play this when I was a teenager, but okay. So I'm going to play it in a different position. Here, see this? Right? That's also, it's an E7 sharp 9. So watch this. E, do, mi, te, mi, 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 mi. So E, G sharp, D, and G natural. It's the exact same chord as this, except it's in a different key, and it starts from the 5th string, so the 2nd thickest string on your guitar, which is called the 5th string or the A string, okay? So what I want you to do now, I'm going to show you this because I figured I might as well show it to you instead of just demonstrate it. So take your 2nd finger, put it on the 5th string, the 2nd thickest string on the 7th fret. All right, it's the same pattern. And now take your 1st finger and put it on the 6th string. You've just shifted up the chord, right, and placed it on a different starting point. People like to talk about cage and all that stuff, but we're not going to talk about that today. But anyway, E, G sharp. Now, there's your flat 7. So it's also on the 7th fret. So 7, 6, 7, right? If you're going to talk just fret numbers, okay? We're not talking intervals. We're talking about fret numbers. So E, G sharp, D. Now you're going to take that baby finger and put it on that G, right? So watch this now, okay? There's a reason I'm telling you this, because I wanted to show you one of the most famous ever uses of that chord. So famous to you? Right, so that was a Jimi Hendrix song called Purple Haze. It was very, very famous, very, very powerful when it was first released, and it just blew everybody's minds. I mean, you know, Jimi Hendrix was doing a lot of wild things back then, inspired by people like Les Paul, you know, with the distortion pedals and all this crazy stuff he was doing, playing his guitar behind his back with his teeth, you know, lighting them on fire. I mean, everything. I was such a big fan of Jimi Hendrix when I was a teenager. I just loved everything about him, like his rebel spirit. So anyway, so that was like E7 plus 9, okay? And you're going, why is it called a plus 9? Well, because if we're going to talk ninths, the F sharp would be the 9 in the key of E, okay? It's also a second, but the second is the second, and you take it up an octave and it's a 9. So watch this. Watch this. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, right? Because we're playing a 7 chord here. And then E, and then F sharp. Do you see how that's 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, F sharp. Right? So stick with me here. So we're going to raise it up by a semitone by 1 fret to G, right? And that's why it's a sharp 9. Okay, now if you don't understand this concept, don't worry about it. It's kind of advanced, but just for anybody that happens to know a little bit about music already, I just want to kind of give you that concept. Okay, but don't worry. We're going to go back to the easy peasy on the 5th fret. Right, so we're going to take that 2nd finger right here, put it on the 5th fret now. And take your 1st finger and put it on the 4th fret next to it. Do, mi. Now take your 3rd finger, put it on the 5th fret. Do, mi, te, right? Now you're going to take that 4th baby finger and also put it on the 5th fret. Now we're going to do it, we're going to raise it up a 4th. We're going to go to the 4th chord, right? So we're on A7, with the semitones. Going up a semitone. Now we're going to go down a semitone. Right now we're on the 10th fret. Same chord. We just shoved it up to the 10th fret. Right now we're going to go back down to the 5th fret. Like I'm muting the strings with this part of my hand right here. So maybe watch that for a moment, okay? Just watch this. It's almost like a percussion effect, right? Okay, now we're gonna slide up to the 10th fret. Get ready, right? Now we're going to go up to the 12th fret. Right. 11, 12, 10, 10, 10, 5th fret. Yeah. So let's make up some words now. We're just going to write a song. Wild West. Wild West, in the great wide north. Wild West, we're in the wild, wild west at midnight. Wild West, wild, wild west. I'm just cracking up here. Now to the 12th fret. Now there's things falling off my amplifier. It's so funny. The Bible's gonna fall off my amplifier. The 12th fret, 12th fret, 12th fret, 11, 10th fret. You're just playing the same chord. You're just sliding around, remember? Right, 6, 5. Right, right. Good, you got it. Wild, wild west. Wild, wild west. Wild, wild west. Wild, wild west. Back up to the 10th fret. Wild, wild west. In midnight hour. 5th fret. Good, you got it. Just keep going. Maybe a bit too fast for you, but you can slow this down. I know you can. I hope you know how to slow it down. Now go up to the 12th fret. If you're playing an electric, it'll be a lot easier. Now if you're playing an acoustic, it'll be a lot harder because it'll hurt maybe a bit, especially if you're a beginner. Okay, back to the 5th fret. Okay, so those are jazzy chords. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the bluesy way. Yeah, you want to know the bluesy way because you're probably into rock music, right? Yeah. I get it. I love rock music too. In fact, I came up on playing all that stuff. Man, I was playing Muddy Waters when I was 15. I loved Muddy Waters. Okay, anyway, so now we're going to try a different version of that A7 chord that's a bit different, and it's not an A7 plus 9, okay? Just clear that into your mind now, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2nd fret again, the 2nd finger rather. We're going to put it on that A on the 5th fret, on that very lowest, thickest string, right? Your E string, but you're on the 5th fret, so it's an A. Now you're going to take your, let me see how you're going to do this. You're going to take your 3rd finger, this one here, and you're going to put it on the 4th string, which is the 3rd thickest string. Do you hear that? So you're playing the root and the flat 7. Do, te, right? Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your 1st finger and you're going to put it on the 4th fret on the 3rd string. so you're on 5th, 5th, 4th. So 5th fret on the low E string, 5th fret on the D string, which is your 4th thickest string. And now you're going to put your first finger on the 3rd string on the 4th fret. And you're going to take your baby pinky and put it on the next string, which is the 2nd string, on the 5th fret. So watch this. This is nice. This is BB King all the way. Okay, yeah. Wild, Wild West. In the mountaintop. Midnight time. Bad lighting. Okay, now I'm going to slide it up that same shape. Remember, we're going up to the 10th fret because we're playing, what we're doing is we're playing a 12 bar blues here, okay? That's what we're doing, I think. I haven't counted the bars, but I think it's 12 bars. Usually it is. I'm not really paying attention. I'm more interested in showing the chords. But anyway, we're up on the 10th fret now, right? Same shape, except it's a different chord now, right? What chord is it? Well, think about this. So A, G, that's the B. So that's the 9th. So A, 7th, interval, G. Then the 9th, for people who know what I'm talking about, which is the B note. And now you've got your 5th, do, so, do, do, so. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. Do, so, do. Right? So it's an A7-9. Okay, so just trust me on this. It's not a sharp 9. This time it's an A7-9. And it's a very hip blues chord. This is one of my favorites. I love this. I'll show you something really cool in a minute. So just stick with me. If you're an electric guitarist, you should be able to do this. If you're an acoustic guitarist, it may be a little more challenging. But this is for the ladies and the men because, listen, everybody can play the blues and jazz. Like it's for everyone, right? So we're going to play this now. So watch that. I gave you a little break so you could rest your fingers in case you had some owies there. Because, you know, when you're first learning it, it kind of hurts at first. Just have to kind of get used to it. And so I'm just hoping that you've played a little longer by now and you've been practicing Silent Night and all that, and that maybe this isn't going to throw you too far away from your comfort zone. But let's just try this. So A7, 9. Same idea, sliding up a semitone, right? Now up to the 10th fret. Right? Now up to that 12th fret. I wanted to show you that's cool. There's something cool that I wanted to show you. Let me just think about this for a minute. Okay, so this is going to get a little more tricky. This is the more advanced step. So listen, if you were finding that really, really hard, this may be a little too tough for you. But for those of you that have a bit of guitar experience or feeling really adventurous, let's go with it a little further, okay? Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to kind of separate the chord a bit, okay? So you're going to, look, we're still playing the same chord, the A7-9, right? But see that shape? This shape? Well, I'm going to kind of mess around with it because I kind of like to play it with these fingers. So I've got my second finger on the 4th string on the 5th fret, my first finger on the 4th fret on the 3rd string, and then I've got my 3rd finger on the 5th fret on the 2nd string. So right, so watch this. I'm just gonna reach over and grab the A, slid it up. So let me just think about this for a moment. Yeah. So what's it? Right back down to the 5th fret. 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 7, 5. Now slide up to that 12th fret. 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 14, 12. Right now, playing that 10th fret on the low E string. 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 12, 10, right now. 7, whoops. 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 7, 5. Now we're going to play. Now you want to get it up a little more higher with the speed. So practice it slowly at first so you don't play things wrong and so that your muscles don't memorize mistakes. You never want to memorize mistakes with your fingers. You want to slow things down at first and get it really happening slowly, and then start speeding it up once you're more comfortable. Also, when you're songwriting, it's a good idea too, so you can really hear things properly and really kind of plan out how you're going to proceed with your intuition and your creativity. So let's just go for this. So we're in the key of A, by the way, and then I'm going to teach you how to solo over this. Yes, I am. Oh, you're going to love that part. Okay, so here we go. The pentatonic scale, my friends, and that I'm going to teach you now, because once you understand how that sounds, you can really improvise with it and have fun. Now, I'm telling you, even my fingers are starting to get a little sore, because first of all, these are new strings and they're feeling nasty on my fingertips, but also because I've spent some time away from the guitar, like quite a long time, and so I have to kind of build up my muscle strength again. And anytime you have a long period away from the guitar, you're not going to want to push yourself as hard, because, again, your muscles have deconditioned a bit, and you just have to kind of get back into it and work your way up a bit again. You just have to be patient with your body. I mean, don't push your body. You don't want to injure yourself, right? So I'm not going to stop, because I've been playing for years, so I can get away with this, but I wouldn't advise you to do that. Like, if you feel like you're completely maxed out and your hands are really tired, just stop, okay? And, pick up this video, note the time, it's 35 minutes. So just start from 35 minutes tomorrow or the next day if you need to rest a bit, if your fingers get sore or something. Okay, and you know, never push yourself. You never want to work through pain. That whole idea, pain for gain, does not happen in guitar. It's not that guitar is easy. It doesn't mean that there won't be a little pain, but you don't want to push through pain. It can cause injury. Okay, so now, of course, if you're playing in a band and it's a 3-hour gig, you might have to push through a little bit of pain, you know, but you're not there yet, so don't even think of that. And, you know, you'll be more conditioned if you're doing a gig like that because it means you're playing a lot and you're conditioned for that, right? So, okay, so wait a minute, I just sort of threw some octaves in there. Did you see that? So what, well, I'm not going to talk about octaves, but I just kind of did that by accident, so. So you can play that pentatonic scale. So it's 1, 4. So this is the pattern. You want to think pattern with this. 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. So watch this. 1, 4, 1, 3, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Did you see that? So what I was doing, I was going A, which is 5th fret, C, which is 8th fret, then D, which is 5th fret, E, which is 7th fret, G, which is 5th fret, A, which is 7th fret, C, which is 5th fret, and then D, which is the 7th fret. Now you're going to go to your first finger on the 2nd string and the 5th fret, right? And this time you're going to change the pattern and play with your 4th finger onto the G, which is the 9th fret, okay? Yeah, you're going to the 9th fret now. And now A, and then to the C, which is the 9th fret. So 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 4 1 4. That's cool, right? But did you notice how I was doing it up here too? So let me think about this. So let's see, E, G, A, right? Right here's it down an octave, right? So you have like that facility to improvise in both of those areas. Now, it's going to probably be pretty hard for you to get used to that scale. It's called the A minor pentatonic scale, right? And you're just going to, it's a blues scale, by the way. It doesn't have 7 notes. It has 5 notes. I'm not going to demonstrate that to you right now, but it's a pentatonic scale. It's called penta for a reason, 5, right? So A, C, D, E, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it repeats again. A, C, D, E, G, A. We can add some other notes. So you can add some semitones in there, some passing notes. A little bit of drama there with a quieter sound. Mountaintop. Wild Wild West. Now back up to that 12th fret. 10. Red. That's a different chord. So I was just messing around and I was kind of, flubbing some notes here and there. I was just kind of demonstrating. I haven't played the blues for a while. Like, I'm more of a jazz guitarist. And also I haven't played like for, how long have it has? Let me see, how long has it been since I played? So let's see, okay, today is November 14th. So that means I hadn't played for probably like, 2.5 months, maybe, right? Or maybe, I don't know, really, I can't remember even. It's going back. I had to stop playing because of some things that came up, right? And that can happen sometimes. Life can get in the way, and you just return to it when you're ready. So right now, my left hand and my arm is pretty tired, so I'm going to call it now. And you should always call it too when your arms get tired or your hands get tired and stuff. So, I've just given you a 45-minute lesson basically in some 7th chords, we call them. We were working in the key of A, okay? And then I showed you the A minor pentatonic scale, which is this. Right? And you can move it up to the 15th fret. Sorry, I got that wrong. This is the 15th fret, so it's actually the 17th fret. So this is your 12th, 15th, and 17th. Do you get it? I don't know if you'll get it, but anyway. And this is the 5th fret, right? So that's where we were centered, okay? And remember, you can add passing notes. You can add a trill or two. Right? Like, what was that famous song? That? Yeah, The Doors, Love Me Two Times, right? So, but in, we use the trills and stuff and slides and all of that and the bending of the notes. I haven't shown you how to bend notes yet because that may be a bit too rough on your hands for now. Like, it can really hurt and can make you not want to play afterward, because it can hurt for beginners at first. But so I showed you some seventh chords, showed you some jazzy chords, I showed you some blues chords, I showed you the scale that you can use, the pentatonic scales, which is a 5-note scale that you can use, and as a pattern. You don't even have to think about the notes yet, because I'm showing you a pattern. 1 4 1 3. Remember I showed you that? 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 4 1 4. So you just have to remember where to put your fingers with that. Just thinking of 1 4, how your fingers are spaced. You don't even have to necessarily think about the frets, because if we were thinking about the frets, we'd be going 5 8 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 8 5 8, right? And if you're gonna shove it up to the 17th fret, it's a different position, right? But and then there's kind of little areas in between. Right, so it just gives you an idea of maybe how to mess around with it for now, because this is the whole point. I want you to be creative, okay? Like, use your imagination. Think of things like, oh, maybe I'll put a trill there. Oh, what would this sound like? You know, get adventurous, get curious, and just mess around with it. And there's no right way or a wrong way. I mean, there is with the 12-bar structure, and that you have to, like, even if I made a mistake, I would just kind of mess around with it and make it into something else. And that's the great thing about improvisation in blues and jazz. You know, you can do that. Now, if you're playing with a band, or, you know, you're at a jam session, you may not be able to do that. You want to stick more closely to what the form would be for blues. And you can learn that form, right? I'm not going to go into the form right now, but it's basically you're playing the chords for a certain number of bars, okay? And then you play the next chord for a certain number of bars. And what's a bar? It's a unit of 4 beats, right? Think about this. So watch this, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that count of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is 1 bar, okay? We also call it a measure, right? So you'd be counting those bars. Like, you don't really have to count it, but it's good if you can count it in your head, because, you know, if the drummer starts playing a crazy solo or something, you might need to start counting in your head. Don't do it out loud. You do it in your head. Don't tap it with your foot, because that'll give you tendonitis or something. Like, you gotta be careful how you use your body when you're playing. And, you know, as you can see, my posture is horrible. I'm playing on a chair with arms, which you're not supposed to do. I'm being a really bad girl, right? So, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the lesson today. And if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, pop it into the comments there. You can also DM me if you have any questions. And, you know, if you want to sign up for lessons in January, when I'll be back to teaching, because I just need to kind of get back into playing again before I start teaching again. You can hit me up at kerilie.com. So KERILIE.com, COM, and then /contact. Okay, so kerilie.com/contact. You can also always DM me on Facebook. But I'll tell you what the problem is with that, and I'll tell you right now. It's just drives me crazy. So someone will send me a message and just say hello, and I have no idea whether the person is interested in a lesson, or whether it's just, you know, a guy coming on to me, or whether it's like, you know, a fisher or a hacker. You just don't know who. When someone just says hello, there's not enough context there, right? So if you're from the group How to Play Guitar for Beginners and Guitarists, and just say your name. You don't have to give me your last name. Just say who you are, that you're from the group, and that you're interested in some lessons, or you have a question, whatever it is that you need. Maybe you need advice on how to buy, you know, a guitar for your son or your daughter, whatever it may be. You know, just hit me up, and I'll do my best to assist you. Remember, don't film when there's shadows all over your face. Do you see how all the light is now on my face? But do you see how it's not bright enough? So for you filmies out there, you want to have light on your face, but you want it, like, see how it's on my nose? You want that all over your face, right? You don't want shadows because they look bad. So this was not a lesson in how to shoot film tonight or film directing. It was a guitar lesson, okay? It's really hard to get proper light in this office, especially at night, but that's when I'm most wanting to play, is in the middle of the night. And I do not know what my neighbors think, but let me tell you, man, the guy next door, he's constantly in there like working on cars and making noise all day and all night. So he can't complain when I play guitar because he's putting out that noise pollution all day, and so he knows he can't complain. Now, it wasn't that loud, right? It's like I'm not being that cruel. Like, I try and keep the level down, right? But that was at a fair volume. I'm sure it's going through the windows. He may be able to hear it in his room if his bedroom's open the window or something. But so also what I would say to you is be respectful of your neighbors, you know, try not to blast their ears off. If you're in a condo, it's going to be harder. You may need to use headphones while you're playing. Have an amplifier that has a headphone jack so that you can play right into the headphone jack. Or if you're really into effects, like maybe you're going to get an effects unit that has chords and, you know, distortion and, you know, maybe a loop on it or something, you know, echo, whatever you're going to be using. And you can just plug right into the effects unit with your guitar if you're an electric guitarist, or even if you're, you know, an acoustic guitarist with a jack on your instrument. You have to have an outlet though, and you just plug right into it with the headphones, and you're good to go. And you know, you won't be disturbing anyone that way. You can play at 3 in the morning, whatever, and hopefully not bug anyone unless your walls are made out of wood or something and there's no concrete. But you just have to be respectful. The other thing sometimes people do, they'll actually soundproof a room if they're in, you know, tight spaces or areas where they have to respect you know, neighbors or something like that. You can buy proper studio sound baffles, or it kind of looks like egg shells, you know, when you, not eggshells, but egg carton. It's kind of similar to that, and you just put it up on the walls, and it blocks all the sound. There's different ways of getting soundproofing into a room if you do find that you have to go that far. Hopefully you won't have to go that far. Or, you know, it can be hard wearing headphones all the time when you're practicing. Like say you want to practice like for 3 hours once you get to that level. Well, you know, having those headphones on, squishing your ears isn't so comfortable. But I do happen to have, where are my headphones? Well, I have some really nice ones from my radio days that are really quite comfortable. They look ridiculous, but they're comfortable as heck. And you don't want, like, if you're getting headphones, guys, don't get the ones that like block out all the sound, that, you know, really cup your ears and are really hard on your head. You don't want those ones. You want the ones that are nice, soft, you know, not too much pressure, that you'll be able to wear comfortably for many hours. Because as you get more advanced, you're going to be playing your guitar for probably like 3 hours, maybe even longer. And if you really get into it and you're young or something and you really start getting into the guitar, you might end up playing like even 12 hours a day once you reach that level. Now, don't start off trying to play 12 hours. You'll kill yourself. Don't do that. You really have to work up like over a long period of time before you can reach that level. Unless you're Mr. Humongous Strong Muscle Guy, but even then, you know, you want to avoid problems like tendonitis, because playing guitar is very repetitive. And as you know, like from office jobs and stuff, or if you're a cashier or something, repetitive motion can give you tendonitis, right? And so if you're hammering at your house all day, don't go home and practice for 5 hours on your guitar. Like, that's a sure way to get an injury. So if you're really active with your hands all day, you have to respect that and recognize that you may not be able to play guitar that night if you've been really overtaxing your muscles that day. And so you want to consider all the movements that you're doing in a day. So those are special tips from Kerilie, special tips. So coming from the wild, wild west in the great white north in beautiful Canada. Good night, everyone. Take care.